Hey guys, what's going on? This is Saba. I wanted to take a few minutes to share with you about what I'm thinking. So lately, it's been on my mind a whole lot, just the need to get on our knee in prayer before the Lord, especially with what's going on all around the world. Here internally and globally, there's just so much going on that needs our prayer. And with that said, I've been just really reminded of the need to get on our knee, to humble ourselves before the mighty hands of God and pray for nations, for countries, for people, and all that sort of stuff. And with that said, I know for the millennial generation, for us, a lot of us, we've got so much going on, so much responsibilities, be it our jobs, be it our school, be it our families. All these things occupy our space, our time. And oftentimes we rely on other forms of prayer, be it writing. For me, I enjoy writing. That's one of the ways that I spend time with God on a regular basis. For other people, it can be jogging, it can be running. They spend time and communicate with the Lord in that way. These are all great forms of prayer, but I want to encourage us and I want to remind us not to negate the responsibility, not to negate the time that we need to carve out to spend before God, on our knee, bowed down, on our faces. These are all things that really we need to do. And why do I say that? Because the Lord has been impressing it on my heart a whole lot lately. And I've been just looking at the life Jesus led. That's what constantly keeps coming to mind. Oftentimes we see Jesus would retreat all throughout the Bible. We see that Jesus would retreat from the disciples and from the crowd, and he will go to a place where he would privately just bow down before God, and where he will kneel and pray. As believers, as his disciples, we are to imitate him. We are to emulate him. So I want us to remember, and I want us to be diligent about seeking God in that way, getting on our knee and praying, and making that a pattern that we regularly do, a pattern that we regularly follow. And I really think, guys, there's just something very, and it goes without saying, but there's something that is very holy about getting on our knee before God. Because I believe if God was to physically come here, we would literally just get on our knee, because that would be our response to an amazing God, to an almighty God, to an all-powerful, glorious God. That would be our natural response. So, with that in mind, it's no different, because we're not physically, naturally seeing anything. God is holy, God is love, God is incredible, and there's just an impartation of grace that takes place when we are on our knee praying before God. How do we know this? If my people who are called in my name, if they could humble themselves and pray before me, I would hear their prayer and I will heal their land. Where do we see this? In 2 Chronicles 7:14. And I just want us to be reminded not to negate that part of prayer, not to negate that form of prayer in our life. Another place I want to visit before I close out this video is Psalm 95. In Psalm 95, that whole chapter actually covers the physical posture, as well as the attitude of the heart, the posture that the heart ought to have when we are praying and worshiping. But specifically, let's go to Psalm 95. 6, it says, "Oh, come, let us worship and bow down. Let us kneel before the Lord our Maker." I'm gonna read it one more time. "Oh, come, let us worship and bow down. Let us kneel before the Lord our Maker." If we jump up to Psalm 95, 3 talks about the Lord being a great God and being a great king above all gods. So let's just keep that at the forefront of our prayer life, the need to get on our knee. It's a special place. There's impartation. There's an impartation of grace that takes place when we are positioned in that way, when we have that posture, because we're saying, God, we humble ourselves before your mighty hands. So, so let's be encouraged to constantly go into that place with the Lord. And I hope that you are reminded to do that, because I know that that's something that we all know, but it's so easy to just kind of put it on the backside with everything that we've got going on in our life and the busyness of life. So I hope this encourages you. I hope you find this encouraging. Love you. Good night.